ওরে সতগুরু চরণ ধর ওরে বন্ধ হবে পারা পার বলি বন্ধ হবে পারা পার পরলোকে পরবাসে ও বলি যেতে হবে জীব আত্মার পরলোকে পরবাসে ও বলি পরলোকে পরবাসে
আমার বড় বোন আছে, আমার মা আছে, আমার ভাই নাই, কিন্তু আমার আব্বা আছে একজনের ব্রেন আউট। আমরা কাজ করি মাঠে ভবিষ্যতে ভালোভাবে সুখীভাবে চলাফেরা করতে।
We are 5 of us at home, 2 sisters, me, mother and father. But my father's brain is damaged. I'm in class 10. I pump water for about 3 hours a day, sometimes another 3 hours at night. People say, look, there's a girl pumping. But I have to ignore what they say, because if we stop pumping, we'll go hungry. I don't feel lonely or afraid here, because my sister pumps at the next pump right over there. A diesel pump gives high status to a family. This pump does not give status. But we haven't got the thousands of takas it takes to buy a diesel machine. And we can't rent it either. The machine's rent is so high. When I pump, my mind wanders. I think of films and film stars and of my studies. And I keep thinking that one day we too will be able to live like other prosperous people in the village. In Bangladesh, 90% of the population lives on agriculture, but 4 of 5 landowners own plots which are smaller than 1 acre in size and getting smaller all the time due to land fragmentation, as in so many agrarian societies. Most of these plots are dependent on rainwater. Fewer than 2 of 10 have any form of irrigation. Almost all rural households need to borrow money in order to survive in the lean period when the fields are fallow and there's no wage work in other people's fields. They borrow money from the moneylender or from richer households. But about 400,000 households have crossed the threshold of the crushing burden of debt by installing the Parakal, the treadle pump. So, is the treadle pump a tool for fighting poverty successfully? Do we have the evidence to make such a claim? Will the pump continue to have only a 1% share of the irrigated area in Bangladesh, or will its share increase to a more significant level? Will the pump be used alone or as a supplement to other means of irrigation? Is the pump a modern tool? What is the pump's cost to the farmer and his benefit? How does the pump's cost benefit compare with other means of irrigation? Does the pump need government financing and subsidy? This film tackles some of these questions. But first, what is the treadle pump? How is it installed? How does it work? Who can operate it? 4 bamboo poles and a 2-cylinder wrought iron pump are the basic constituents of this pump. A village mechanic or mistri and his assistant carry the whole equipment to the farmer's field and install the pump by the sludgery method. and water gushes out. This is the music the farmer has been waiting for so long. And it only took 2 hours for the Mistri to make it happen. A small pump, simple technology, but a giant leap for farmers who had given up hope of self-reliance.
The pump's inventor Narendranath Deb lives in a modest village in Kurigram district in North Bangladesh. It was the winter of 1979, he says.
I was on the way of Rangpur. I saw some women and children are carrying water in the earthen pot in their shoulder and pour it to a small plot of land. I was astonished how they are getting from a pond and carrying the water in this field. And I asked them why. They expressed that it is a bumper crop, but it needs water. So they are carrying. Then I think it is very hardship to carry the water from the pond.
So Deb started experimenting with the existing hand tube well, which had only one cylinder.
Only one pipe is sunken. And only one time when we push it, one time it suction. And if a continuous suction can attach to it, then I can get a continuous flow from the same pipe. And afterwards, I think if I put 4 heads instead of 2 heads, it will supply more. I'm a poor man. My father was very poor. He could not afford my education expense, so I have to stop my education.
And at the time he was thinking of a new pump, Deb did not have any formal scientific training or money to buy materials for the experiment. He shared his ideas and his problems with the representative of RDRS,
An NGO.
This is my idea, but I could not experiment it with the necessary sockets, T-sockets, etc. And he agreed to provide me with the spare articles. First, in my primary stage, I used cement barrels. Gunnar Barnish, employee of RDRS. This pump, at present going on, he helped to this design.
He experimented also with different materials, like concrete and things, but we settled for the mild steel sheet metal pumps in the end.
Besides an affordable cost, what other qualities did you want in the pump?
Well, it should be made by the local workshops. It should be easy to repair, preferably without any use of tools. And it should be easy to transport.
After 6 months, our president-elect Mr. Ziaur Rahman came to Ulipur and visit my pump, and he was impressed with the pump, and he arranged to exhibit many items, indigenous method irrigation machineries in Dhaka.
Deb's workshop soon became a popular destination for visitors from within the country and abroad.
In 1979, one farmer came to me and asked me whether I know him or not. I cannot recollect him. Then he expressed, I am that man. Last year I sold my only bullock to purchase your pump. But today, in the hot day of Ulipur, I come to purchase a pair of bullock. He told me that he irrigated about 1 acre of land, and he got more than 60 months paddy in that year. He produce only 10 to 15 months in that same plot.
You have become very famous. Now, has this fame changed your life?
No, I am not hankering after fame, but I think that my position, my family status something changed. Once I was hand to mouth, but at present I can go on smoothly with my family.
The Treadle Pump has come a long way since its commercial introduction in 1980. Many new models have been devised by committed agencies. It is now established that an ordinary treadle pump pumps water at the rate of 2 gallons per second.
What is the role of the treadle pump in increasing agricultural production in Bangladesh?
People get overwhelmed by the poverty. They say this place is so poor. And a small farmer with 50 decimals, he can't feed himself, so he can't go for the market. But if you go and take a look at some other countries, say Taiwan, for example, the people in Taiwan will say, we have less land than anybody in Asia, but we eat better. The challenge for development is to get farmers to that stage as fast as possible. So we have, say, within 10 years or 20 years, how much training do we have to do? How much introduction of new technology do we have to do? How much land can we get irrigated? These are challenges that are just right before us.
And you think they haven't been paid sufficient attention to by the government?
Not by the government, not by NGOs, not by many donors.
In that case, how does the treadle pump compare with the modern intensive farming technology of countries such as Taiwan, South Korea and Egypt? Is the treadle pump a modern tool? Let's turn to the farmers of Bangladesh. Do they think it is modern, and has the pump made a difference to their lives?
কোনো লোকের কাছে গেলে টাকা ধার চাইতে গেলে বলতো আমার কাছে এখন টাকা নাই, পরে যদি মহাজনের কাছে যেতাম তো বলতো এখন বাকি দিতে পারবো না।
When I was a boy, I used to go to the Mahajan's house with my father twice a year to borrow money for food. Sometimes he gave, sometimes he said, go away, I won't give any money. It's a painful memory. All that is over now. With the Parakal, we take 3 crops of paddy every year. Earlier, we couldn't take even 2, Aman and Aus. Our plot used to give us 3 mons. Now it gives 20 mons. We sell about 10-12 mons at
Each season,
There are 13 members in my family.
each person could eat only a poa, quarter seer of rice before the parakal came. Now everybody has 1.5 poa a day.
Do you have body aches pumping?
কিছু কিছু তো তা হয়।
Sometimes I do, but then I take a tablet and I'm fine.
সব ঠিক হয়ে যায়।
But life has been a struggle for this family of 3 daughters, their mother and sick father, and the shadow of poverty hangs dangerously close even today. We helped our mother to save 500 taka and then we bought this pump. There's more to eat now, but I'm still afraid that we won't have enough money for my 10th class exam. I'm also afraid that we won't have the money for my 11th class exam. But if the harvest is good, we'll have the money, I'm sure. For my eldest daughter, I paid a dowry of 20,000 taka. We sold land to raise the money. My husband's brain is damaged. Somehow I brought up the girls, but we were unlucky. My daughter's husband only kept her for 2 months. Then he left her back with us. We've waited for 3 years. Nobody knows where he is. A worker of the agriculture department told us about the pump. We sold some trees and household items to collect money to buy the pump. After the first crop, we paid off some old debts and bought another pump. And a year later, we've taken a 3rd pump too, all in a straight line. I hope these pumps will feed us and educate the other girls. Then they will find salaried jobs. If 3 of us from the family pump, we irrigate 1 bigha in a day. The main point is that this pump is under my control. If I want to start pumping, I just have to jump on it. If it breaks down, I repair it. A diesel pump is the pump of the rich. Only they can afford it and have the time to take it to the next town for repairs. For poor farmers like me, this is the pump which can change our bhagyo, our fate. But is the treadle pump by itself able to increase productivity?
We know that small farmers need many things. They don't just need water. Once they have water, then there's the whole issue of what to do with it. Of what do I grow? How do I grow it? When do I grow it? So the treadle pump is at the center of this.
Treadle pumps would be very useful in just about any situation where you have floodplains or where you have valleys between mountains, high water tables, particularly thinking of countries like, say, Cambodia or Vietnam, South Asia, India, Pakistan, and then countries in Africa, areas where the wage rate is reasonably low.
Several developing countries are trying to cope with a high rate of population growth, and so they consider it crucial to increase food production by 5% annually. The demand for rice is growing steadily, and to meet this demand and the demand for other agricultural commodities, governments and people are introducing measures to boost productivity in small holdings. For instance, by giving a boost to irrigation, including to manual irrigation. Clearly, in this context, the treadle pump has a key role to play in increasing food supply.
But in real terms, what is the actual cost and actual benefit to the farmer?
At a cost of 1,000 taka, you can buy a treadle pump, install it. Financially, it is very viable, it is very favorable, and we found that the IRR is above 50%. And benefit cost ratio is also very favorable. It is always above 1.34 or something like that.
We know that a treadle pump routinely returns 1,200% per annum. The benefits are so incredible.
Today, there are 400,000 treadle pumps in Bangladesh, which is equal to an investment by poor farmers of the order of 600 million taka. Where did the money come from? Where were the pumps manufactured? And how did they reach remote corners of Bangladesh? Most of the pumps are manufactured in small workshops such as this one in a district in the south of the country. With an investment loan of about 700,000 taka, an entrepreneur buys the cutting, rolling, punching, welding and other equipment.
Workers fabricate the pumps from cast iron sheets. All the raw materials are available locally, and village mechanics pick up just the right skills quite easily.
Every part has perfect proportions, or else the pump will be inefficient and wasteful of energy.
Farmers visit pump dealers in the local market and examine the pump carefully.
Manufacturers typically sell about 5,000 pumps a season with a net profit of over 100 taka a pump. Dealers in hardware items such as drinking water hand pumps stock the treadle pumps. Demand for the pumps peaks in the period December to March, but it drops to zero when the monsoon breaks and then picks up again in November. Quite often, farmers come prepared to buy the pump. Where do they get the money from? Don't they have doubts about the pump? How are they so convinced that the pump is a good thing to take home? The farmer's initial contact with a pump is on a neighbor's field. Then, a pump dealer or mistri meets the farmer and tells him about the advantage of installing a treadle pump. If the farmer has not actually seen a pump in operation, he is taken to a nearby site. He sees it at close range, and once he is convinced, he visits the hardware store in the next big village.
Most people pay cash, but in some cases the dealer
Gives the farmer an incentive in the form of a 50% loan to buy the pump. The farmer has to invest 50% himself. Do people pay back the money or do you lose it? One of 50 borrowers doesn't pay the money back, but most farmers do, and most of them pay back the whole amount after the first crop. A few women also come to buy the pump and they talk to me quite freely, but not many come. I'm actually a diesel mechanic, but now I find that the Parakal business is much more profitable. Parakal sales have jumped from about 50 a month 2 years ago
to almost 300 a month this year.
Parakkal is becoming more popular than diesel even where the water is at 30 feet. Of course, I only sell Parakkal for 3 months in the year. After that, I have other products to sell like diesel pumps, spare parts, pipes and tubes. Yet we see that many farmers are still outside this marketing network of dealers, agents and mistris because I have no money and so no water. I can't afford the Parakkal, so don't talk to me about it.
The farmer does not need a vision of the future as much as he needs cash. So what about this hard reality of not having cash?
Well, once we deliver the vision of the future, it energizes the drive for cash. I must say that agricultural equipment anywhere in the world cannot be sold without some kind of supporting credit. This year, 65,000 of these marvelous little treadle pumps were sold in Bangladesh. Now, on the surface, that's a large number, but we should be selling 500,000 of these a year in Bangladesh. Without serious credit, that number will not be possible. In the treadle pump, we have a technology that can more than offset even an expensive credit program.
A target of 500,000 pumps a year is quite realistic. The demand exists. But the poorer farmers need short-term loans. Who can help with credit? Not just one agency, but NGOs, banks and government all have an important role. Is the government convinced that this is a bankable investment?
Surely it is, because it benefits the vast multitude of small farmers for which the government is primarily. And this extension service is also always to look to the interest of the small farmers compared to other farmers. And in that case, I think this treadle pump is a savior. It is easy for the farmers to use it and get the money back in the shortest possible time so that they can repay it. Bank's concern is primarily how to get back the money. Normally in case of deep tube well, shallow tube well, it is delayed for many reasons, including the management in the group. But in case of treadle pump, it's a lone farmer who can use it at his own option, and he knows which crop to grow, and this small amount of money he can get from the banks, but our banks are yet to be geared to their need.
The groundwater profile of Bangladesh shows the true extent of this potential need. As much as 78% of the irrigable area in the country can be serviced, irrigated by the treadle pump. That's more than 3/4 of prime agricultural land.
How do you identify new areas for expansion?
Well, the hydrology requirements must come first. And then the proliferation of other irrigation technologies is another major consideration. If there's an abundance of deep tube wells in Bangladesh, for example, that could be a clear signal that we should be moving aggressively in those areas, because there are problems with the operation of deep tube wells that can be solved with the treadle pump. In the case of shallow tube wells, the competitive aspect would cause us to be a bit more reserved. People do not buy new things unless they've seen it operate first. So certainly we have to show people what the technology is all about. Increasingly we're using demonstration plots that show not only the pump, but what can be done with the pump.
What is your central message? What is that which is so attractive that the farmer finally buys it?
He's king of his land. You can control your own land, your own productivity with this technology. You're not dependent on somebody else.
The donors have intervened and positively, and they've innovated certain appropriate technology. I think it is positively they have contributed to that. Also, in marketing the pump technology, they have tried to establish a network. There is an existing traders, merchants in the country. Just they have tried to make a much more organized network of that. So donors have effectively and positively contribute to that. It might not be true always though.
As a donor agency, what role has the Swiss Development Cooperation played in the extension of the Treadle Pump in Bangladesh?
Well, as you know that as a partner of development here in Bangladesh, that this is a bilateral donor agency. Its main objective of its assistance here in Bangladesh is to help the efforts of Bangladesh to improve the life and living condition of its people, particularly the small farmers, as this is interested in that. And as a part of that, Treadle Pump, as this is supporting in its research and also in extension marketing.
What kind of future do you see for the Treadle Pump?
I see a bright future for this, very bright future.
The trend is visible already. The Treadle Pump is reaching out to new areas each year, and it's quite likely that in the next 5 years it is going to emerge as a supplement to some other form of irrigation in over 10% of the cropped area in the country. The pump protects nature, and each one of the Parakal farmers is amongst the poorest in the land. This pump may not confer status, but it empowers the half-acre farmer. And that's why the future is bright.
পরবাসে